Welcome everybody. So in front of me I have the brand new Redmi Note 11S, and today I will go over unboxing along with a quick overview of this phone. So without wasting any time, let's just pop it open. There we go, and jump straight to it. So there we go. Powered by Redmi. Okay, great. Now I'll mention right off the bat, this is a device catering more towards the budget side, which meaning it comes at around 240-260 euros. So like I mentioned, it's more towards the budget side, though I don't think it's budget enough for probably what you're gonna get, although I haven't really looked into the spec sheet, so we're gonna see that in a second. Point one, really like the inclusion of a case. Xiaomi always does this and I really appreciate it. You don't have to waste time and get another case. You can just slap this one on and always have it with your device, so that's really great. Then we get the phone itself. And here you can see that we apparently have a 108 megapixel camera, 90 Hz refresh rate, AMOLED dot display, meaning it just has a hole punch camera for the camera. 32 watt charging, which it actually comes with a charger in the box, so nice. And last thing is the high performance MediaTek Helio G 996. Okay, great. Anyway, I just unpack it. There we go. So I'm gonna turn it on. Now right off the bat I'll mention this feels a little bit cheaper in hand than, for instance, something like this device, which comes at around 50 euros more. It feels way better in hand, has a bigger display, higher refresh rate. It's just overall going to be better than this, and it doesn't cost that much more. So that's something that I wanted to point out. This, for the most part, looks to have similar specs to the Poco M4 Pro with just a better camera. That's about as close as I can describe it. Anyway, let me quickly go through the setup right here while I also take out different things from the box. Is it actually? No, never mind. I thought that they might have actually included 90 Hz refresh rate enabled by default, but it looks like I was wrong. For some reason, Xiaomi doesn't enable high refresh rate right from the box, so that's something that you need to change in the settings. Just quickly go through this. Skip, and there we go. So in the box in here, like I mentioned, we have a charger. So this is a 33 watt charger, which comes included, which again is really nice. And obviously the cable for charging Type A to Type C, so you can plug it into your phone, and the brick. And that's about all we get in the box, which is by all means all we really need. This is still setting up, so I'm gonna put on the case in the meantime and flip it over just so we can get a look at the cameras at the back, and I can also just kind of talk about them. Come on, there we go. There we go. So let's flip it over. So right here we're looking for, or not for, but on a triple camera setup. No, actually quad camera setup. Okay. So this is a 108 megapixel wide sensor, the main one, which is right at the top. Then we got an 8 megapixel ultra wide, 2 megapixel macro, and 2 megapixel depth. Okay, never mind, we only have one camera right here, or possibly two. So the two odd ones, the macro and depth, are just a sticker camera, which I don't recommend using for any kind of reasons. And honestly, if you're interested in looking into this, I did do a deeper dive, for instance, with this device, the Poco, what is it, the X4 Pro, and we can see the comparison of this super macro camera to a, what is it, like 3-year-old device now, the Mate 20 Pro. I did unboxing, that's basically unboxing that I did, where I compared the camera to this phone, and news flash right here, this completely stomps the macro and actually the 108 megapixels, at least when I did it, the unboxing. Though it could be all to the lighting, so that's something that would need to be tested more. Anyway, now that the device is actually set up, we can go into it. I'm gonna actually just give you a quick glance on how the photos look like. So let's just get my plenty right here. Gonna get a little bit more light in here just so I have more preferable environment. So there we go, this is the normal one, and let's go into macro just because, why not? And there we go. I think that's enough. I'm just wanted to capture like 2 photos. I don't want to go super in depth in here. So this is the macro. It looks absolutely atrocious as expected. And then if we go to the normal one, this is the normal photo, though it's captured wrong by me. As you can see, it did capture focus, but right here, so a little bit further back. So the plant itself is a little bit blurry because it's too close to the camera. So that is my bad, but it looks okay-ish. And also one thing that I will point out, even though this has 108 megapixels, when you're taking photos with the photo mode, so right here, it is actually not taking them at a full 108 megapixel resolution. For that, you need to go to more and select it right here at 108. That will give you the best results in terms of like resolution. Though the normal photo mode does utilize the camera, it just captures it at a higher resolution and then scales it down, keeping the detail as much as it can, combining it basically. So anyway, let's move over to the next thing, which is storage and RAM in here. So like I mentioned before, we are looking right here at a Helio G96 as a processor, and in terms of storage for that chipset, we have a 64, 128 and a well, that's about it. 64 and 128 gigs of storage, and both of them come with like different RAM options. So the 64 has 6 gigabytes of RAM, and 128 has a 6 or 8 gigabytes of RAM. So you get to choose which one you want. To be fair, I don't think for this device you would need anything more than 6 gigs, though I could be wrong. For gaming, it might be beneficial to have more. But you don't need to. And additionally, you have expandable storage in here, so you can slap in a SIM card, expand it past the 64 120 gigs if you need to. And moving on to the next part, we're looking at 5000 mAh battery, which coincidentally looks to be basically the same battery as for every Xiaomi that I unboxed today, which is the both Poco phones and this one. I also have a tablet. I wonder if this one will have 5000 as well. Anyway, so like I said, 5000 mAh battery, 33 watt charger, which comes included with the device in the box, and they advertise that it will charge to 100% in 58 minutes. So that is a really nice result right here. Though advertised means that it's basically lab results, and they might not be representative of what you will get in a typical use. So I believe things like the advertised charging is when the device is actually turned off, so it will charge faster, and probably in a colder environment, so the battery doesn't really heat out as much. So take that with a grain of salt when you see advertised charging speeds. It might be worse. Sometimes it actually could be better. It really depends, but for the most part, it is going to be worse in actual like real life use. So now, that being said, this would conclude the actual like overview of this device. Like I mentioned before, it is a little bit more expensive than the Poco M4 Pro, which comes with a little bit crappier camera, and basically everything else is the same. And it is slightly cheaper than the Poco X4 Pro, which is better in every kind of way. Apart from maybe cameras. The cameras are apparently the same, though it could have like a different aperture and stuff like that. I didn't really look that deep into it, but just on a general spec sheet, this phone has better display, so 120 hertz refresh rate, and bigger display, brighter and all that stuff. It looks overall more appealing, and it would cost instead of like the 240 or 260, it costs 300 euros. So you pay like 60 to 40 to 60 euros more, and you get a phone that will look way better. Also, the design of it, personally, I prefer it. It's a little bit more more industrial with the sharper edges, which I personally like, though it might not be for everybody. But still, I wanted to point out this device just because it's not much more expensive, and I think it offers more than this device. And if you're planning to go for a budget, I don't think spending like 40 to 60 bucks more is that big of a difference for a device that will probably perform way better and be more enjoyable to actually use. And for everybody else that wants to probably get the best bang for their buck with things that actually work way better, I would recommend looking into old flagship phones or used ones. Those phones will come at a significantly discounted price by now. So as an example, even I'm gonna again bring out my phone. Even though I personally don't really like Huawei, it's hard to not kind of recommend this just because of the price. It won't have 120 Hz refresh rate, so that is something that I want to get out straight away. But it does still perform reasonably well. With 120 Hz, this would be the best phone still, I would say. But yeah, the cameras are really good in here. We have under display fingerprint sensor, curved display, and all that stuff. It's just a nice phone altogether. I really enjoy using it still, even though it's a little bit outdated and I miss having a high refresh rate. And the best part is it comes around about 200 euros. So for that price, it's really hard to not recommend a phone like that. And additionally, you aren't really locked into something like a Huawei. You can also go for Samsung's or other flagship devices that came out a couple of years back. Those will still perform really well and give you some really good tech in them while being at a discounted price by now, either because they're used. Just when you're buying used, I do recommend looking into the phone, having it in hand and seeing if everything is okay with it, or you can just buy a new one from like some retail vendor that still has it in stock, which still should be relatively cheap because it would be an old device. So that is something that I would like to point out as an alternative to buying a new device that is a budget one, just because new budget phones will be cheap, but they will have less things that you pay for in here. They skimp out on a lot of things compared to an older device that was a flagship and is just cheap because it's old. So that is something that I highly recommend looking into. Other than that, like I mentioned, this is a good device, though the pricing of it, I think I would prefer to pay more and get the X4 Pro Poco, which is also Xiaomi. So yeah, that's basically my opinion right here. Other than that, if you're planning to go for this one just because it's right in your budget and you can't spend any more, that's fine. This device seems to work really well. Cameras are okay, display is really good, and that's primarily all you're gonna probably use. The chipset right here might not be the most powerful thing, so for gaming it might not run something like Genshin Impact on max settings, so don't expect that, but still it will perform fairly well with every task that you should throw at it on a typical daily use. So that being said, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like button at the bottom, it really helps the channel, and thanks for watching.